Hello, heroes. This is Take Me to Troy, Episode 7, Seduction in Sparta. Okay, so Paris is now a member of the royal family officially, and the family tries to welcome him in, except for Cassandra, of course, and it's kind of a rough transition for the people in his family and for Paris himself because of the circumstances. I mean, they haven't known him for 18 years for one thing, and for another thing, the circumstances by which he was adopted are pretty shady because his mom and dad, his biological mom and dad, did want him to die on that mountainside, so it's sort of awkward, and King Priam and Queen Hecuba really want to, now that he's back, they really want him to feel like he's a true part of the family, and they want to smooth that transition as much as they can. So they think, what can we do to make Paris feel like one of the family? Well, why don't we give him some family responsibility? Makes sense, right? So Priam gives Paris the job of sailing to Sparta to smooth things over with the Spartans because there's been a little disagreement over tariffs, trade, something or other related to the economy. This is a pretty important job. Priam's intentions are good, but the thing of it is, Paris is not a prince. He does not have a prince's education. He does not have the training in how to be a diplomat. So why in the world would you send an untrained teenager to a major world power to try to bring about an economic compromise? Not the best plan. But fatherly love wins out, and Paris is actually kind of honored to be asked. So he sails on a ship from Troy all the way to Sparta, and when he gets there, he's welcomed with open arms by King Menelaus and his wife, Helen. Remember her? So Paris is wined and dined in Sparta, and the trade talks continue. Actually, Paris, being a handsome, charming guy, does okay for himself. He has had a slapdash bit of training in the beginning before he left on the trip, and apparently he's a good compromiser, so the trade talks actually go pretty well. It's what was going on outside of those trade talks that nobody's really sure about. Anyway, the last night of Paris's stay, when the trade talks have been concluded and the compromise has been reached, the family gives him a good banquet, a really nice, fancy dinner, and everyone's sitting around talking about how great it is that they worked out all their differences at the negotiating table, and things are going really great until a messenger comes running into the room, all out of breath, all flustered and flummoxed, and he bows before King Menelaus, and he says, "My lord, I come with terrible news. Your father has just died." Wow, Menelaus, what horrible news. He's going to have to leave immediately, and it's not like his father lives just next door. He lives far away. So Menelaus really quickly gets all the stuff ready for a voyage to whatever city his dad was living in when he was alive. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, it's far away. So Menelaus packs up. He tells Paris before he leaves, remember those Greek rules of hospitality? Menelaus can't say, you need to leave now because I got to go to my dad's. So he says to Paris, I am so sorry. I feel terrible. Like, this is so rude. I have to leave. But, my father died. I have to go to the funeral. So, you're fine. You're good. You just stay as long as you need to stay. And when you go back to Troy, tell your father that I feel really good about our negotiations and I'm glad we came to an agreement, and I wish you a safe voyage. Paris says, thank you very much. Safe voyage to you too. And Menelaus sails off. Here's where things get a little sketchy. Nobody really knows exactly how this comes about. there are two basic schools of thought. First school of thought says that Paris whisked Helen off her feet and forcibly took her onto the Trojan ship, maybe spurred on by Aphrodite. Who knows? That's one option for the story. The other option is that somewhere during Paris's visit to Sparta, he and Helen fell in love. You never know. Maybe Aphrodite could have gotten her son Eros to shoot a couple of love arrows into these two. It could happen. So, anyway, whatever you believe, Helen gets on that Trojan ship just hours after Menelaus leaves. We don't know if she was kidnapped. We don't know if she went by choice. I'm going to leave it up to you to decide for yourself. But whatever you believe, Helen does leave her husband one way or the other, and she also leaves behind her young daughter Hermione. That's right, Harry Potter fans. There was another Hermione before Hermione Granger. Anyway, Helen leaves her little baby. She leaves her homeland. Remember, she's queen by right, and she gives that up, or is taken from that. Anyway, she's on the Trojan ship, and it actually takes months upon months for Paris and Helen to sail from Sparta to Troy. Meanwhile, word spreads. As soon as Menelaus gets home from his dad's funeral, he comes in the door, "Hi, honey, I'm home." And all he sees is his little daughter Hermione, who's looking really, really sad. And all the servants are looking really scared, and they're trying to avoid him. And finally, he gets somebody to tell him what really happened. And that poor servant has to say, "I'm sorry, but your wife left on the Trojan ship." Now, who knows what Menelaus really believed about why Helen left or how she left? The fact of it is, he's a man, a proud, arrogant man, as most Greek kings were back then, and it is not going to look good for him if word gets around that Helen left him of her own accord. So, to save face, Menelaus has to spread the word that she was kidnapped. Otherwise, he looks like a, well, you know, probably not a very nice word. So anyway, Menelaus goes straight to his brother Agamemnon. Maybe you remember him, his older brother, king of Mycenae, who married Helen's older sister. So Menelaus goes to this guy Agamemnon, his older brother, and he tells him the story, and he's all mad, and he says, that Trojan prince stole my wife. And Agamemnon says, "Brother, this is our chance. We've been wanting to start things up with Troy. It's a big kingdom. Why don't we use this? That jerk should not have stolen your wife. I will help you get her back. And in the meantime, if we happen to conquer Troy, we can take it for ourselves." Menelaus is like, "Yes, but how are we going to do that? Like you said, Troy's really powerful." Agamemnon says, "Oh, but do I have a plan? Remember that oath we all took before Tyndareus announced our wives? Every single guy that was in that room that took that oath swore to protect the marriage of Helen. If your marriage is ever under threat, it's under threat now. All we have to do is call in those guys who swore that oath. They can bring their armies, and we'll get together the biggest force the world has ever seen, and we'll sail against Troy, and it's going to be awesome. We're going to get control of it for ourselves." What do you think? Menelaus says, "Let's do it." So, word spreads far and wide that Agamemnon and Menelaus are gathering forces against Troy. The word even gets back to Troy before Paris and Helen's ship actually lands there. So the rumor mill is going. Agamemnon and Menelaus are traveling the world, collecting their oath takers from that long ago day when they all swore that oath. And that's where we're going to leave the story for now. We'll pick it up later.